Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari.
Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Nitya Gora Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Nitya Gora Hare Bol. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Gaura Nityananda ki Shri Shri Radha Radha Kanta ki Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki His Divine Grace Shri Prabhupada ki Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirasesa Sunyavadi Tvashtataya Desitayane. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, Chapter 8, entitled Questions by King Parikshit, Text 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Name Sava Paraya parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahman anashanadami.
Brahman anashanadami.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakya abdhi vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Tadvakya abdhi vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahman anashanadami.
Brahman anashanadami.
Pibanto chuta piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakya abdhi vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahman anashanadami.
Brahman anashanadami.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakya abdhi vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahman Anashanat Ami.
Brahman anashanadami.
Pibato Chuta Piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tatvakyabdi Vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam. Name Sava Parayanti. Name Sava Parayanti. Brahman anashanadami. Brahman anashanadami. Pibato chuta piyusham. Pibato chuta piyusham. Tadvakya vinishritam. Tadvakya vinishritam.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahmananashanadami.
Brahman anashanadami.
Pibato chutya piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakyabi vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahman anashanadami.
Brahman anashanadami.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakyabdi vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahman Anashanadami.
Brahman anashanadami.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakyabdi vinishritam.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Brahmananashanadami.
Brahman Anashanadami.
Pibato chitta piyusham.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakya vinishritam.
Tadvakyabdi vinishritam.
Record silence.
The boys doing it.
Name Sava Parayanti.
Okay.
Anashanat Ami.
Brahman Anashanadami.
Pibato chuta piyusham.
Tadvakyabdi vinishritam.
Haribo.
Record sentence. Na. Never.
Never.
May. Mine.
Mine.
Asava.
Asava.
Life.
Life.
Parayanti.
Parayanti.
Becomes exhausted.
Becomes exhausted.
Brahman.
Brahman
Anashanat
Ami,
because of fasting,
because of fasting,
Pibata
Pibata,
because of my drinking,
because of my drinking,
Achuta
Achuta,
of the infallible,
of the infallible,
Piyusham
Piyusham,
nectar,
nectar,
Tat
Tat,
your
your,
Vakya Abdi
Vakya Abdi,
ocean of speech,
ocean of speech,
Vinishritam
Vinishritam,
flowing down from.
flowing down from.
Translation. O Lord Brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. Please repeat. O learned Brahmana,
O learned Brahmana,
because of my drinking the nectar of the message
because of my drinking the nectar of the
of the
message
infallible personality of
of
Godhead,
the infallible personality of God,
which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches,
which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches,
I do not feel any sort of exhaustion
I do not feel any sort of exhaustion
due to my fasting.
due to my fasting.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada.
Raj.
The disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, Vyas, and Shukadev Goswami is particularly different from others. The disciplic successions from other sages are simply a waste of time, being devoid of Achyuta Katha, or the message of the infallible Lord. The mental speculators can present their theories very nicely by reason and arguments. But such reasons and arguments are not infallible, for they are defeated by better mental speculators. Maharaj Parikshit was not interested in the dry speculation of the flickering mind, but he was interested in the topics of the Lord because actually he felt that by hearing such a nectarian message from the mouth of Shukadev Goswami, he was not feeling any exhaustion, even though he was fasting because of his imminent death. One can indulge in hearing the mental speculators, but such hearing cannot endure for any length of time. One will be exhausted very soon from hearing such hackneyed ways of thinking, and no one in the world can be satisfied simply by hearing such useless speculations. The message of the Lord, especially from a personality like Shukadev Goswami, can never be tiring, even though one may be exhausted from other causes. In some editions of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the text of the last line of this verse reads, Anyatra kupitad dvijat, which means that the king might be overwhelmed by the thought of his imminent death by snakebite. The snake is also twice born, and its anger is compared to the cursing Brahmana boy who was without good intelligence. Maharaj Parikshit was not at all afraid of death, for he was fully encouraged by the message of the Lord. One who is fully absorbed in Achyuta Katha can never be afraid of anything in this world. So a few different points Srila Prabhupada's making. Pretty clear and straightforward, a little heavy. He's saying the disciplic successions from other sages are simply a waste of time, being devoid of Achyuta Katha. So, what is the specialty of our disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, to Vyas, to Shukadev? What can we say that this is like so different from the other disciplic successions? Four major disciplic successions coming in India from Lord Brahma. This is our succession. From Lakshmi Devi, Sri Sampradaya. From Rudra, from Lord Shiva, Rudra Sampradaya, and from four Kumars. So, anyone like to say something?
Directly from Lord Krishna?
Excuse me?
Directly from Lord Krishna?
That's one thing. Yeah, Brahma heard from Krishna. But our succession, especially enriched by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is based on this Achyuta Katha or Krishna Katha. Directly, Krishna Bhakti, Braja Bhakti. So it's all centered on the intimate name, pastimes, form, quality of the Govindam Adi Purusha, the original personality, Krishna Govinda. And this is what Lord Chaitanya has come to give us, especially. We should concentrate on this. Others may be worshipping Lakshmi Narayan in different forms. I can't elaborate on that. But without going through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Nityananda, and taking and hearing their mood of Krishna consciousness, and especially they're centering on Harinam, Srimad Bhagavatam, worshipping Radha and Krishna, and the Sadhu Sangha Association of Devotees discussing these topics and chanting the holy name. It's very concentrated on the highest intimate level of Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela of Krishna. That's what I got from this. And so this verse and the whole Srimad Bhagavatam actually it glorifies itself, and it's in innumerable places it's elaborating on the potency of Krishna Katha, that it can bring one to a higher and higher platform. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, by this uninterrupted devotional service one comes to the spiritual platform, Brahman platform. And beyond that, as Krishna is asking, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Madhyachi Mam Namaskuru, become his devotee, to be able to think of him, worship him, be absorbed in him. We have the process here, the most potent process of hearing, as it's being a descending process, of the beginning with, say, Lord Brahma, the head of our Sampradaya. He's giving Brahma Samhita. The whole spiritual world was revealed to him by the Lord himself. Very high level philosophy, very clear. And then from Vyasadeva, Narada coached Vyasadeva to elaborate on the Vedic literatures and give the summary study of Vedanta Sutra Srimad Bhagavatam, which is described as the literary incarnation of God, and giving the whole picture from creation, all different aspects of the Lord, which, from the material creation to the culminating in the intimate pastimes of the Lord in the spiritual world. The manus, the different ages of time. It's just, we all know, it's just so complete. And Lord Chaitanya's line, and Lord Chaitanya himself, who is fully Krishna himself, he set the example. He took the role, we say, as Krishna's Acharya Leela. He took the position of teacher, and his mood was Vairagya, Vidya, and Nija Bhakti Yoga, to teach knowledge, detachment, and pure devotional service unto himself. So very, very powerful. And being the Lord himself, and the category of all acharyas, especially Lord Chaitanya's associates, eternal associates of the Lord. There's no mental speculation going on. It's all revealed, directly revealed knowledge realized by these devotees. Lord Brahma has that. One of our favorite verses here in 10th canto, 14th chapter. That to give up all mental speculation, the process is jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavati yavartam stane sita shrutikatam tanavanmanabhir prayaso jitopya sitais trilokyam. Jnane prayasam udapasya, to give up all mental jnana, speculation. And just hear from those realized devotees of the Lord about the pastimes and activities, all the qualities of the Lord. Just hear the perfect knowledge descending. And he's saying, and dedicate your life, your body, mind, and words, first offering obeisance to these topics, spiritual sound vibration, and then dedicate your life to hearing these things. And in that way you can conquer the unconquerable. Lord, attract him, attract his mercy, attract his full pleasure into your life. So that is our line of succession. Not concentrating on the external ritual, which many lines are doing, and even tradition, according to some histories, but simply on this inner circle of bhakti, Krishna bhakti, and very enriched by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his disciples, the 6 Goswamis. So we have all these bhakti shastras written by the Goswamis. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, all of Jiva Goswami's works are so extensive. The Sandarbhas, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, so many literatures that are giving very intimate understanding of all 3 categories of Vedic knowledge: Sambandha, relationship, our relationship with the Lord, our relationship with the material world, why we're here, how we can get out, and then Sambandha Abhideya means the process of coming to Krishna, connecting with Krishna, Bhakti Yoga, and then Prayojana, the ultimate goal of pure loving interaction, free from any personal motives and uninterrupted by any material condition. So here, Maharaj Parikshit is voicing how he is becoming totally absorbed, uninterrupted by the most disturbing thing. What's that disturbing thing?
Hunger and thirst.
Yeah, the approaching time of death is coming. He knows it. There's no question. But he's totally fasting. And what's the other things he should be disturbed by?
Exhaustion.
Exhaustion, hunger, thirst. So I'm just drinking the nectar of your words, this spiritual vibration, and I'm not disturbed. I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. So, like we know, we hear, the potency of the holy name can purify our existence from gross to subtle, dealing with karmic things, dealing with all our the miseries that we're fearfulness, lamentation, illusion, anger, greed, envy, these enemies of the mind, purify. And so similarly, this Krishna Katha has the same potency as the holy name. In the 10th canto, the very first chapter, I think 4th verse, Shukadev is speaking to Parikshit. And he's glorifying the process of Krishna Katha, and he explains that it is bhavoshati, which means it's the medicine. Bhavoshata trotra minobhiramat. That is the medicine for those who are caught in this cycle of birth and death. That means it can cure. And who would not take it? Something so wonderful, except he who was killing himself or who was a butcher. A very wonderful verse. And in that verse, long purport, Prabhupada talks about the qualities, the qualification for the speaker and the hearer, that they must be free from material desire. So we know that the holy name is purifies us from material desire, purifies the heart, right? Cheto Darpana Marjanam, and then Bhavamahadeva Nivarpana. When material desire is purified, then it's like putting out the fire of this material life of birth and death. Because from material desire, Super Soul is fulfilling our desire. If we want something in this world, we'll take birth again and get a suitable body to experience, enjoy or suffer that desire. So, similarly, Krishna Katha, and I believe it's Vyasadeva, early in the Bhagavatam, chapter 7th canto. It's Sutta Goswami speaking to the sages. And he says, simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for pure loving devotional service sprouts up at once in the heart. You see these gardenias are just like sprouting every day. And extinguishes the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So similarly, this process of Krishna Katha can do the same, and especially, just thinking of something else, extinguish the most subtle material distractions of the mind. Is a term called abhinivesh. It deals with the subtle attachments of the mind to the material world, subtle bodily conceptions of life, who I am. And so we'll all be challenged. We'll all be, and we should be practicing for this final exam of death, that we have to be able to separate ourselves from all material concepts of body and material mental conceptions, and not to speak of family, home, bank balance. So we can see that Parikshit Maharaj is just becoming totally detached. And because he's experiencing a higher taste. Vishaya vanivartante nirharasyate nam raso varja rasopyasya nam drishva nivartate. So by getting the higher taste, we can drop everything else, right? Get something better, something more delectable to eat. You're like, okay, no thanks. I won't take that. Other. So Parikshit Maharaj is our example to follow. He's the shining example of Shravana, right? Hearing. He's just so electrified and happy, and no fearfulness. He knows what's coming. But how did Prabhupada finish this? One who is fully absorbed in a Achyuta Katha can never be afraid of anything in this world. So, the challenge is to be absorbed. And, we're all in different stages of life with ages and material connections. Some have families, some don't have family, working and thinking of having to earn money, and all these things. It's our movement is meant to regularly, and as we chant prayers early, usually, that to regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and of course we're chanting the holy names, that we all should be progressing to that stage of detachment. And if we're not, then we're not, really following nicely. This is how Prabhupada has given us the process of regular daily hearing and chanting. He's just giving what Lord Chaitanya has given. And we're so fortunate. We have all these literatures, we have beautiful deities to worship. We have even a small group of sincere devotees. If we just have this katha, then it can be most satisfying. And I was thinking from, as we mentioned earlier in the beginning, Lord Chaitanya's teaching of Vairagya Vidya, knowledge brings detachment. And detachment from material things allows us to go deeper into the process of bhakti yoga. So, it's our challenge to take it up. And just one really wonderful verse of Lord Kapila Dev speaking to his mother in the third canto. Very famous verse, Satam Prasangan Mama Virya Samvado. He's saying a similar thing, that, I'll read this verse, it's a little bit long. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he's freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. If you meditate on this verse, he's actually saying how we actually advance our faith, as we know, Adao Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, becoming fixed, getting a taste for Krishna Katha, and then experiencing bhava and going all the way to prema. So it's actually just by hearing the Lord's pastimes and discussing them, one becomes advanced on the path of liberation. He's freed, means what? Freed from material attachment. And his attraction becomes fixed, nishta. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. That's 3:25, 25, if anybody wants to look at it. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is all about almost the same topic. Thank you. I'll stop there if there's some question.
Yeah, thank you for the nice explanation. The key is to keep the taste going. And to regain the taste is something, as you said, nishta and ruchi. Taste and the continuity. So these two things are the key. And to keep that continuity, we need to not offend anyone. So offenseless chanting and offenseless devotional service is the key to keep that taste. Otherwise, no moment will lose the taste. That's very important. And
about being free from offenses. So keep nice, friendly and loving and trusting relationships with devotees. If there's some devotee that you may have trouble from, then it's like respect from a distance. To be attentive to our chanting of the holy names. There's so many offenses in deity worship. But mainly, the big powerful danger is Vaishnava aparadh, so we have to work at that.
I like to consider the Bhagavatam verse 1-2-16. I like to call that the catalyst verse, because Shushu Shoshodatanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Kirtana Shevana, that only by serving a devotee who's completely free from all vice can one acquire and obtain and nourish and advance ruchi. So as soon as we stop serving a pure devotee, then we're going to go backwards. Because spiritual life is not stagnant, it's not static, it's ecstatic. So you either go forward or you go backwards. So Bhagavatam 1-2-16 is like the catalyst verse. When you do a chemistry experiment, and there might be many steps to that synthesis, say you're synthesizing an organic molecule in the laboratory, and there's many steps to that synthesis. And at each step you require a little tiny catalyst to get it to go from step A to step B, and then from step B to step C. And if you skip the catalyst, everything else can be perfect, but your reaction's going to go nowhere. So this is the catalyst verse for our life, Shushu Shoshodatanasya, verse 1-2-16, that we must always, it's not that, I served a devotee, I got initiated, I got my name, I got my Brahmin's thread, I'm good, I'm in, I graduated. No, you just began. You didn't graduate, you just began. So we have to serve a pure devotee, which starts with the morning program. We serve Prabhupada by coming and interacting with the deities in the morning. They come here, they're here at 4:30 in the morning to give darshan, and the curtains open and they're like, who's out there? Oh, nobody came to see me this morning. So think how sad we feel when we're stuck in our homes, we're all locked down, nobody calls us on the phone, nobody sends us an email, nobody knocks on our door. Oh, nobody loves me, nobody thinks about me. Prabhupada's Guru Puja's going on, only once a day for 15 minutes. Why can't we be here to greet Prabhupada and garland him and Jai Prabhupada and sing the prayer and actually understand what the words mean and put our heart into it? So service begins with hearing and chanting together. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyanta Stohya Bhajani Vidinoti Saritsatam. That hearing and chanting is auspicious and pious in itself when it's properly done. What does that mean, properly done? When it's done in the association of like-minded devotees. Not that we're hiding in our corner somewhere doing our hearing and chanting. We should be visibly hearing and chanting with devotees. So that's why devotees lose their taste, because we're separatists. We all go off into our own corners.
I just want to add a point to that, Mother. While definitely the point you made about serving the pure devotees, the catalyst, but also to not offend any other devotee, even if you're Prakrita Bhakta, is very important.
Yeah, if you're serving the pure devotee, you won't do that. You can't serve the pure devotee.
Even
you can't serve the pure devotee if you're offending other devotees. That's why we find ourselves, I don't come and serve Prabhupada. Why is that? Why did I get absorbed in the material world all of a sudden? Because we're making offenses. We don't have a taste to serve Prabhupada. So, yeah, you're right. But they go hand in hand. Prabhupada, one time, somebody asked Prabhupada what was his secret formula for success. And he said, Chunadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saishuna Manina Mamadena Kirtaniya Sadahri. My success was that verse, that I tried to practice being humble, tolerant, not offending anybody.
Or it kind of works both ways. If you're absorbed in serving, no time for it.
Because it's the opposite.
And if we're not engaged in service, then right? Idle mind is devil's workshop. The mind starts taking off, and we've all got these contaminations: lust, greed, anger, envy. Start talking about others. So,
Thank you, Prabhu.
it's two others here. I think
Somebody else can go, I can go last.
Okay. Vedanta Prabhu.
Prabhu, you're talking about death, and sometimes death seems untimely. For instance, we've all heard of, like, I can't remember how long ago it was, like a Guru Kula boy was swimming, they were out swimming in the Ganga, and he got caught under the boat or something, he drowned. Or we all know, like, for instance, Tamal Krishna Maharaj left his body suddenly in a car crash. So, in trying to prepare for death, sometimes death comes so suddenly. We may be flying in an airplane and the thing explodes, and it's just so sudden. So how do we view that leaving of the body when it seems so sudden and untimely?
Well, we hear that material world's a danger at every step, and it can come at any moment. We've heard Prabhupada say so many times about death, and who can say they will live so many years? Who can say when they will die? Everybody gets serious. Oh yeah, it could happen any time. All we can say is that when we think about these things, untimely death, it should make us very serious about our day-to-day practice and becoming detached and just thinking I'm a spirit soul. I'm just tiny. I could get knocked out of this. Kicked out of the apartment at any time, right? I don't know, anyone else have something to add? That's all. Preparedness. Serious, it could happen at any time. You're right, it's like a little scary to think about, so.
Where does it say that Krishna will help us? If we're struggling to remember him at the moment of death, if we've spent our life dedicated in service to him, that if we're struggling at that moment.
Right, he will force his way into the mind, especially Lord Chaitanya is most merciful in that.
That's what I thought of when you said that.
Done serious service for a long, long time. So keep up the service.
A couple of things about what they both said and what I experienced a few weeks ago. This individual, I don't want to mention him, offend somebody. This person has been in the movement for such a long time, and then was doing something, and then he got all of a sudden got upset and said, I've been doing this for you guys, and you guys are still not happy? And I thought about that for a moment. You're doing it for me and us? I thought, that's where, you're doing service. Some might think, I'm doing a lot of service, I'm doing this, to stay here or to do this. Is that the right mind of thinking like that? Instead of like, I'm doing this service.
We like to have personal interaction with devotees. We have superiors, temple president, temple commander, whatever. We should interact, like to please them. But the ultimate issue is we're serving Krishna. I have the fortune of being able to serve Krishna in this situation with these devotees.
Then the second one I had.
If it's not, I'm serving you guys and there's some, not proper appreciation or something, and then I'm put off.
Or like a business exchange.
Yeah, I hear that sometimes. I'm doing this for you. You're not happy.
It's unconditional. It's for Krishna. That means, it's it's immaturity, and unfortunate. You can get knocked off the path by that.
My second thing is that about offenses, I realize this happens quite a bit, but we have to pay attention to this too. Someone will say something, and this other individual is like, I'm very offended by what you said. And that one said, I didn't say anything. And this quarrel can go on forever. I see that sometimes, This one said, you said something that offended me. Because that person thinking, I didn't say anything to offend you, but that person is offended by what you did or said, You know what I'm saying? Without realizing that you're offending somebody, that could happen many times. This can end up in quarrels. That person gets so offended because this one don't want to accept it and ask for forgiveness or whatever.
Quality of Kali Yuga, quarrel, and the quality of neophyte devotees to fight. So it's kind of hard to avoid many times. I mean, we can't say it. We can't start criticizing the immature person who gets upset over in some situation.
And then they'll bring it to the authority, and then the authority listens and try to help. Still, that person who offended the other one cannot accept it,
Then that's a challenge to the authorities to be very compassionate and preach to them. There has to be some personal relationship. Hopefully, every devotee has some. Every one of us needs some person that we have some love and trust with, that we can go to reveal our mind in confidence, right? Inquire confidentially. Rupa Goswami gives that formula for success. Some loving exchange. If somebody's feels nobody loves me, and this person's criticizing me, and I've done so much work, it's pretty easy to walk out the door. So the danger is if there's no loving, trusting relationships. That's the unhealthy thing. Then
it's hard to develop
can
that.
happen.
It takes time. And I've gone into this several situations, something I didn't do, I've been accused of, and blah, 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 blah. You know what I do? I just accept it. That makes you happy? I'll just accept it, That's one way to do it for me. I just cannot go quarrel, I always sometimes go through that. They like to use my name for something, and then I've never said it, so I cannot go quarreling about this,
If you take the position of authority, you'll always get criticized.
They just use the names here, there, everywhere. But I just accept it, whatever, I'm sorry, even though I don't do it.
It's difficult. Kali Yuga, difficult to have a community, be a leader, be a follower, or anything.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki.